Hey Virgo, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to your reading. These are general readings. We're going to take what works and leave what doesn't, as with everything in life. If I don't catch your wavelength here, check your other major placements. And we're starting with the Oracle Mystical Moments deck, and then we'll move on to the Muse Tarot for a more traditional tarot spread. I've got a couple cards here. This might be it. I think it is. Okay. All right, we have A Long Way Home. I love this card. There's a journey here that you've already committed to. You've already up anchored. You already made the commitment. It's a long way. It's a long journey. You're not getting there overnight. I mean, you didn't exactly choose transportation that gets you there overnight. In fact, the transportation you chose, or that you have here, to getting where you want to go, it has a mind of its own. Not really a mind of its own. It's sort of, the divine moves it. The winds move it. Chance and change and chance and change. Chance, the winds that we have no control over, that we don't really get a say in how fast they go, when they move us, that kind of thing. So there's something sort of your mode of transportation. Part of your movement here is going to be out of your control, out of your hands. But you have set the intention. The intention is set. You may have a companion here at some distance from you. And you will hopefully land together, or maybe not. The intention, the hope is to land in the same land, in the same spot eventually. But there's a lot that's out of your hands. I do love the commitment here. There's something about memory. There's something about communication, the possibility for communication, yet not doing it. I see this with these birds here. You can send messages back and forth to this other balloon, to this other companion, or this other companion or other people, but you might not need to right now. It's just a commitment that you've made. So you've upped anchored. Something's up in the air here. It's going to take a long time before it all gets figured out and settled out, and a lot will happen that is out of your control. It's a long journey, but you're committed to it. You've already made the commitment. You've already done something that committed you to this journey. And then we have the Gardener, another one of my favorite cards. This is about caring for yourself is caring for your community. Self-care is community care, right? We're all integral parts of the universe. And so when we want world peace, when we say that, the first place, of course, to start is within, because we're responsible for this part of the universe. We are part of the universe. We are part of nature. We're part of the world. So our responsibility is here. It's also about making choices about what you want to cultivate and what you don't want to cultivate. We each have, a plot that's only so big. It kind of sounds like a grave plot, and it's not entirely not connected to that. So we only have so much time here, and we only have so much energy here, and it's got its limits. It's like a raised bed plot. And so we have to make choices about what exactly are we going to grow in that plot. And we don't have room for everything. So, and we need to be maintaining it, weeding it, taking care of it, so that the things we have chosen to grow, if we want to grow carrots, you got to get the last year's tomatoes out of there. You can't have any volunteers coming in. It's just, your carrots aren't going to get what they need if you have a bunch of weeds, or just, and it doesn't have to be weeds per se. It's just a plant you don't want there, and that's not your intention. So being very intentional and clear about self-care, about priorities, about what you're going to make time and space for and what you're not going to make time and space for. And then how this relates to community is, if your carrots are healthy, then that's what you bring to the marketplace. That's what you bring to people. That's what you bring out, is these healthy carrots. If your carrots are getting crowded out, shaded out, not getting the nutrients that they need because they're planted next to something that doesn't mesh with them, then what you bring to the marketplace, what you bring, and and by marketplace, I mean both your work, but also your community, your people, what you bring to the party. What you bring to the party is raggedy old carrots that nobody wants to, well, I don't want to say nobody wants. That's a kind of you're not bringing your best to the party. When you're when your garden's overcrowded, what do you bring to the potluck? You're going to bring like some mangy little carrots that didn't get what they needed. So when we talk about taking care of ourselves, intentionally cultivating our life and what we want out of it and what we want to bring to it, when we're intentional about that, then we have these strong, robust, beautiful, bright orange carrots to bring to the potluck. So so that's what the gardener means to me, is taking care of yourself, being very intentional about making sure you're getting the water and light that you need, and you're growing intentionally what you mean to be growing and what you want to be spending time and your space and your energy growing here. So being very intentional about that. And it may take a long time to grow. You might have chosen something that's not an annual, that's a perennial. That might take a long time to grow. You might have made a choice like that. Yeah, so it could be a while before you see the fruits of your labors. But, you know, gardening takes a lot of faith. It's always so amazing. You know, we're in that season where people are starting to start seeds and stuff like that. And it's always so amazing when I plant seeds to see what comes up. It's just such an act of faith. You put this little tiny thing in there. It looks dead. I mean, I know it's so basic, and yet it's still so exciting. And when they first come up, so what you may have planted and what your intention may take a while to come to fruition. It may not be something, you know, it may take a while to sprout. It may not be right away. It might not be a radish. It might be a bit more of an oak tree that you've started. All right. All right, Virgo, this is your past, your present. There we go. Your inner landscape, what's at issue, your environment, your to-do list, and your possible outcome. In your recent past, you have 3 of materials. This is work, teamwork, working with people, working as a team. It has a strong work vibe. It doesn't necessarily have to be work. You could have been, you know, putting in a driveway and working with some people to do that and to accomplish that. You know, this can be hiring the right people to do their specialties. What I like is that each of these roses here is a different color. They're all coming together, sort of being braided in together. New things being discovered, new abilities being needed and being pulled into a project. But they each have their own unique thing that they're bringing to the situation, right? They each have their own specialty, and working together create something really, really beautiful. In reality, long lasting. So there's a teamwork vibe here. There's bringing team members in, experts in to do what they've studied and worked so hard to build their career doing. They've been brought in, and you've worked together with some people to really create something real here. Your 7 of inspiration. Ooh, yeah, this is the gardener vibe right here. This is making space for something that you want, fighting for it, right? We have the sort of elevator door, like, I need this space to do this. So this is you wanting to make this space, as we were talking about here, for something that you really want. And it is a struggle, it is a fight, and it takes a lot of strength to make that space for what you want, for what your soul is calling you to do, for what for this thing that makes you feel alive and makes you feel bright. It is a struggle to make that space, to push away all of the to-do lists and all of the accomplishing and all of those things to push it away. And I see such a struggle here for this part of you to shine, to make room for it, either emotionally feeling like you deserve the space to do this, or just even, I mean, with this 5 of materials, we could just be talking about a lot going on at work, a lot of stuff, and just needing to clear your desk, needing to make the space so something that feels very intuitive, something that you really love and really want to grow, has the space to do that and doesn't get shut out and doesn't get squashed in sort of the pressures that life bring to us. It is work, it is focus, it is intention. You have to intentionally make time for these things that, you know, just life in general isn't going to make time for you to do that. So those are choices that you have to make, and a strength that you have to have and persist in order to make room for something that you truly want to have happen. So it is the same as that gardener vibe, as far as like just being very intentional and very clear. It reminds me of when those sprouts do come up. Oh yeah, okay. We're on the gardener, so this makes sense. When those sprouts do come up, you know, you always plant like 3 seeds because, well, you don't know like how old the seeds are. It could take, you know, some of them aren't going to be viable. Some of them aren't going to sprout. So, but when they do, then you have to make these tough choices, which I found very difficult. I mean, I'm looking at like a tiny little tomato plant. We've got 3 of them this big, and I've got to take out 2 of them. And here they went through this whole journey. They sprouted. They, you know, they're full of life. They're full of vigor. That if given half the chance, they could become giant 6-foot tall tomato plants. And here I am. I've got to pluck them. I have to. That's part of the job, is that intentionality. And you look and see which one's strongest, which one's best. And you save that one and pluck the other ones. So, and that is a similar vibe of the 7 of inspiration, is you have to make room for the tomato plant that you want. For the plant that you want, you have to make room for it. And that might be uprooting some things and getting rid of some things in your life that aren't making room for that. Then we have in your inner landscape, your hopes and fears. Is this 7 of materials? This is... This is patiently working towards something, making progress. We have a lot of materials here. So this can be work, money related, anything in real life, physicality related. So the 7 of materials, you're really hoping that your patience is going to pay off, that the dedication you've shown, that the slow, steady growth, the tending that you've shown is really going to pay off. You've been very consistent with something, and you've really worked hard for something, and you'd really like to see the fruits of your labors. You're not seeing them yet, but you're very hopeful. Very hopeful that that's where we're going, and that these things, this 7 of materials is, here, I'll show it to you. The 7 of materials here is about, you know, obviously we have a gardener vibe here with all of these materials. This deck goes with the gardener vibe. It is, and we already have the gardener. So in this deck, 7 of materials is a gardener. In many decks, 7 of materials is a farmer, gardener, something like that, growing something in real life. So the 7 of materials is that patience. You've planted those seeds. They look like they might be dead, and you're sitting there waiting for them to come up. How many are going to come up? What are they going to be like? Hold on. So yeah, your hope is that something's going to come up. Something's going to come out of this. You've planted, you've watered, you've cared for, and you've been consistent with something. And you're really hoping to start to see the fruits of its labors. You maybe haven't been able to. You've made space for something. You've called in your experts. You've made space and room for something to take root, to move forward. And now you're just sitting there in hope that this all works, that this all comes together, that you're not gardening this in vain, that you're not making space for something in vain, that you've, you know, the space you've fought for, it's worth it. And you're going to start seeing some sprouts soon, or some, you know, or even that these tomatoes are going to set, or that you're going to be able to harvest something at some point, and that all of this work is really worth it. So you're sort of you're hoping that all the work is really worth it. And what's at issue here is this 10 of voices in reverse. I really like 10 of voices in reverse. This is going to be your 10 of swords. And so 10 of swords is, the 10 is the completion of something. It's been a long, difficult process, which this reference is here, a long, difficult process that you've invested and had to fight for. And this 10 of voices, the 10 is the completion. It's the end. And the 10 of voices in reverse is so gentle. It's so, the 10 of voices in the upright is going to be more about, you know, this is over. There's a lot of, you know, these swords have to be taken out. You've been wounded. You've been stabbed. There's a long healing process. And the 10 of voices in reverse is almost like it just recedes on its own. The healing begins a little easier with it. What my understanding is that gravity and nature, the forces of nature, actually help remove the swords and help the healing process go a lot faster than what you were thinking. So you might be worried that how long am I going to have to wait? This 10 of voices in reverse is like some long, difficult, painful process, making room for something, trying to something that's hurt you and wounded you. Not only is it no longer here to wound you, but there's a healing process that's very gentle and very soft and very almost effortless on your part. You've endured quite a bit, but there's this sort of almost effortless healing that comes in here with this reverse 10 of voices. Being released from a long, painful process with maybe less effort than you thought possible. So how that would be an issue, I don't know, but it doesn't necessarily have to be an issue. It's just like, here's the situation or what's going on. So, but you've already fought really hard, and maybe the release and relief that you're looking for is going to be coming in a much more effortless way. You've already put in huge amounts of work here. So in your environment, we have 3 of inspiration, which is an interesting card in your environment. Comes under this 3 of materials. So we're in sort of like, we're really moving towards something. We're really building. The momentum is building with 3 of inspiration. There's something in your life where 3 of inspiration is a card about faith. So there's something in your life where you're seeing where it can all go. You're maybe seeing the, you know, what's her name? Is it Martha Hazan? Hazan's like tomato butter marinara sauce in your garden. You're seeing these tomato plants come up and you're like, oh yeah, I cannot wait to make the Hazan's tomato butter marinara sauce. And you're starting to see where this can all go, what the possibilities are here. You're really, there's something in your environment that's caught your attention here and is reminding you of where this all goes. Yes, this is a long journey. This is a long process, right? This is a long set of unfolding events, but there's something here that's giving you some sort of inspiration, and you can see these dominoes are going to fall, right? That's the nature of the situation. And you're having this moment of faith, this moment of seeing where this can all go. And there's something in your environment that's showing you that's showing where this can all go, where these balloons might end up landing, that there's a possibility here that this thing could really work out. You know, you're worrying, hoping, fearing that as you wait, how long do I have to wait for the results of my labors? How long do I have to wait for this? But as you're waiting, there's some sort of sign or something here that really ignites your faith that, that this is going to work out, that something can happen here. There's something in your environment that's reminding you to have faith that the result is, that the results could, what if the results were what you wanted? What if this went exactly the way you wanted it to? What if you can really see where this is all headed, where you're going with this? So there's something here that sort of sparks that and gives you a glimpse into that future. But here's your to-do list, the energy you need to interact with. This is your anxieties and your fears. You need to examine them and look at them. Where are they coming from? What are they about? You know, something here has you in faith for your future, and something in here has you in fear. So even though you're getting a glimpse of where this can all go and where you're going with this, there's something here. You're still dealing with a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety. You're technically safe in your bed here. These are just the fears. This is the 9 of voices. are typically called the nightmare card. So, so what's causing these nightmares? What do you need to face? What do you need to look at? Look at them very clearly, very boldly. You can even ask them questions, ask your fears questions. Why are you here? Why am I dealing with this? What are you trying to say? You know, there's all sorts of ways to deal with anxiety. We can do breath work. We can do journaling it out. We can do our ABCD cognitive therapy methods of, you know, what's actually happening. What are my beliefs? What are the consequences of these beliefs? I think that's how it goes. And then debating yourself and coming to a new place. So some of our fears are well-founded, but you're dealing with this nightmare card. We're talking about, you know, the anxieties and the fears that you have. Are you ever going to get there? I mean, we have multiple things here about needing to have faith enough in your dream to make space for it. That's where you're at right now. Fears that this isn't going to go anywhere. But there's something here that is telling you it does go somewhere. You're getting a glimpse of where it could all go. But you're still dealing with these anxieties and these fears. Is this worth it? Is my effort worth it? Is it going to pay off? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if nobody likes my carrots? What if nobody likes what if my tomato plants never bear fruit? What if none of my seeds sprout? So we're dealing with a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear. And this is just here to say, hey, look it in the face, talk about it, get it out in the open. Fears and anxieties half the time are a little bit like vampires. They suck our energy, but as soon as you bring them out into the broad light of day, they vanish. And as soon as you talk about them, as soon as you bring them out, they can sometimes, about half the time, they can vanish into dust and not be anything more to worry about. Others might be a little more difficult to work with or a little more hidden. There might be, you know, other issues at play. So just examining those, talking them through. You might have multiple anxieties that are kind of creating this net that's holding on to you here. Again, maybe you have anxieties all woven together here about this and that and the other thing. So just parsing those out and facing them and looking at them. That's your to-do list, is deal with your fears and your anxieties. Understand which ones are very reality-based, where they're coming from. And with the point, we're not ruminating here. The point of dealing with these anxieties, of course, is to be able to move forward, to be able to move beyond them, to be able to live in hope, not fear, to be able to live in joy, not terror, right? So dealing with those anxieties. You might be having anxieties now that you've made this commitment, now that you've already made steps to go in a certain direction. You might be having anxiety about where exactly am I going? Because there's a lack of control here. There's a lack of, with this hot air balloon, there's not control. This is the divine moves you. This is something else moving you. What is it? You're not even in charge here. So you could be having anxiety about not being able to control the outcome, not being able to have like a landing pad that you know that you're going to hit. You know, this isn't an airplane. You're not going fast. You can't steer it. You can't direct it. I think you can steer them a little bit though. There might be some heights here. You might be afraid of the heights. You might be afraid that you're not going to get where you want to go here. So there's a sense of losing faith, a sense of fear, but yet even so, there's something in your environment that's telling you to have faith. Have faith. And then where you're going, success. Muse of materials, another material here. This is the gardener, the harvest, the success. End of the day, the work's been done. The harvest has been brought in. Very successful. You've worked hard. You've planned things. You've invested your time. Oh my gosh, people, I think we even have tomato plants here. No. Apple trees, maybe. I don't know. We've got some bright red thing. I'm going to call them tomato plants, and somehow I've been talking about tomato plants this whole time. So your tomatoes have come in. It's time to, you know, have that, I don't know, put some salt and pepper on those babies and eat them. They're so exciting. So it's just, you're headed towards success. Towards something coming to fruition in reality, a tangible success. Your tomatoes are gorgeous and you bring them to the potluck and everybody loves them. that's where you're headed here. You just got some head games going on here. And you've got to be intentional about your time and your energy. And you've got to, you know, deal with your fears and your faith here. But it's a really beautiful, perfect little ending right there. Something really does come true. This faith is really warranted here. All right. So Virgo, I hope that was helpful for you. Thank you so much for your likes, subscribes, and comments, and I'll see you in a little while.